y'all, this is Sam, the Frugal Hugel Gardener. I'm going to do a video on separating, dividing, potting, planting in the summertime. Because I've read and watched videos that always say, do not divide, separate, pot, or plant in the middle of the summer. They'll die, and your parent plant will die. Only transplant them in the fall or the spring, right around March, when they're dormant. But I live in Florida, and sometimes we have a mild winter like last year, and they never went dormant. And I wanted to go ahead and divide and transplant and plant around my property, which I did. The videos are down below. I did it in March, and a lot of them are growing. Some of them are not growing because we were in a drought, and I can't drag the hose around the property. So the ones that were in a more moist and wetter area did great. The ones that dried out and the roots dried out did not. However, where we are now is we're going on September. We're in August, and it's been really hot. We had a long 3 or 4 month drought. We finally started getting a little bit of rain lately, and I said, well, I want to go ahead and divide, pot my bamboo, and see if I could get the root system going so I could plant them in a couple of months, maybe in the fall, maybe in the spring, because I didn't want to wait till then and then start over. I want to get the jump on things. So I did another video below, an update, which shows that they seem to be doing good. And then I did another video on separating and potting a lot more, like 14 or 15 of them. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at where I separated them and see how those plants are doing. We're going to go ahead and take a look at these that I planted a few weeks ago. Or I should say potted. And you can see the leaves are standing out nice. And that's another thing. When you go to water bamboo, look at the leaves. When the leaves are nice and flat like that you're watering them good. When they start to curl, they're starving for water. And if they really start to yellow, you're giving them too much water. But you really shouldn't be able to give them too much water when they're potted. So with that said, let's start in the beginning where I separated them. And let's see what those look like. Because according to the myth, when you separate them, when they're in the growth stage, it could kill or will kill. I don't know. I never really figured it all out. The parent plant. So let's see what it looks like. Okay, so right over here, these are sea breeze. I got them for privacy to make a hedge along the outskirts of my property because they grow in really thick. The bamboo gets really thick. In other words, it's a thick wall bamboo, so I could cut off the branches and use it as supports for my banana plants. Plus my other variety that does not grow to be a shade or a hedge bamboo is sea breeze, or actually silver stripe. And the silver stripe grow about up to 2 inches, real thick wall, great, strong for supporting banana plants. But we're over here with the sea breeze, and let's see what they look like after I separated 3 times already this year. And let's see if the myth is they're not going to do good, they're going to die. Let's see. So you can see where I dug them all up. The videos are down below if you want to see. You can see that these shoots are growing nicely. Remember, they were real small, so they're still growing. New ones are shooting out. Everything's still full. The leaves are looking good. They're still real tall. So as you can see, they're not yellowing, they're not browning, they're not losing their leaves. They're still growing new shoots. I think that myth on sea breeze, anyways, is debunked, because I just did that a few weeks ago in a heat wave, and they are looking great. I might even separate some more. Okay, this whole hedge line going down that way and that way, they're shooting out new bamboo shoots, because remember, it was one. I separated and planted in March. They all seem to be doing good. They're shooting out new growth. And I did that, and we had the heat wave and the drought, but along the cove it stays a little bit more moist, and I have really good compost soil that I made here. So they definitely love this area. They're shooting out new shoots. This is going to be a hedge before long. Thumbs up. Okay, so I separated this at the same time I did those about a month ago, and it's in the ground. I was watering it, but I don't think I watered it enough. They started to brown. And as soon as I noticed that the leaves were curling and browning, I started giving them more water. So every day I'm putting water in the ground, because it probably goes down and to the sides. It's not in the pot. But if you look, they're doing really well. So I think this is going to start shooting out new shoots soon. Okay, so these right here I potted. You have to look at the video below, about a month or so ago. They're shooting out new growth. The leaves are all looking good. See, this is new growth. That's new growth right there. See, new growth. And you can tell that they're happy. And same thing over here. You got nice little leaves coming out. Right over here, if you can see, right here, that's a new growth coming out. So they seem to be doing good, and there's new growth throughout. Okay, so these are the ones that I separated. It's probably a week or so ago now. I went ahead and potted them. You can see over the node right here, there's a node. It's shooting out new growth. Shooting out new growth. New leaves are coming in. So it's looking good. This one over here is shooting out new growth right there. So it's looking good. And if you look up here, here's new growth, there's new growth on up. This one here still got leaves, and right over here, you got new growth coming out right there. The leaves are looking good on this. Let's see if there's new growth. I think there's some new growth right there coming out, but the leaves are looking good. Okay, those were my big rooted ones. These roots were a little smaller, but here's some growth. The leaves are looking good. There's new growth See the green? There's new growth happening, going up. Let's come in here to this one. Right at the node there, over there, you got some new growth. Right over here at the node, you see that? That's new growth. And let's look at this one. Okay, I don't see any new growth yet. Give it time. Okay, so these are my smallest root ones, and you can see I topped them off at the second node. And you can see right there, that's new growth. This one over here I cut off at the first node because the root, there was hardly any roots. There it is, it's shooting out new growth. And this one right over here has one starting. This one over here kind of got messed up, a little bit of root showing, but I bent it, so I don't think this is going to get new growth, so I'm waiting to see down here if any new growth starts coming. And this one right here, at the first node, I cut it over the first node, and look, right at the node where it's supposed to, some new growth. And this one, if you can see it, right there is starting. Okay, so I did this myth buster video on whether or not you could divide, separate, and pot or plant bamboo in July and August, in the middle of a drought, in the middle of a heat wave, in the middle of the summer. Because everywhere I looked online, I was a little nervous about doing it because they say when it's in this growth stage, don't do it. They'll die. They won't survive. Well, I go against the grain most of the time because I want to see what happens. And these are doing good, and that's why I went ahead and separated and potted more. Now the roots underneath are forming, and we got new growth. So pretty soon I'll be able to transplant these from the pots to the ground, and the same thing with those. Now what I did is, you notice these are tall. That's because the roots were really big. Now these are a little shorter because the roots were a little smaller, and these are all cut down to the first and second node because the roots were real small and there was hardly any roots. If you look at the video when I was dividing them, you'll see that when I went to pot them, how I trimmed them up and why I cut them shorter. So, you know, that video's below. That's an update. And this will be an update as well, but it'll be more of an update that I proved the myth. And if you go ahead and give me a like, subscribe to my channel, you'll get updates on when I go ahead and do more videos on these, so you'll get to see how the roots did, how the plant did, and eventually I'll plant them in the ground. And later on you'll get to see the results and how the hedge turned into privacy and so forth. But for that, you got to subscribe, and then you'll get a notification, and you'll get to see if these made it, which I'm pretty sure they're going to. They made it this far. When you start seeing new growth shoot out, you're good to go. So hey, this is Sam the Frugal Hugel Gardener. Make sure you give me a like, give me a share, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you soon.